Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Rise to Your Peak podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Patrick Richardson. Patrick, thank you so much for coming. A brief introduction of Patrick. Patrick is a retired IFBB pro professional bodybuilder. He also coaches competitive athletes, as well as owning his own supplement company, AllPro Nutrition, which is located in Raleigh, North Carolina. He's had that supplement store for about 20 years. And his most recent venture is partnering up with me together. Over the past year, we have been developing PureFactor Formulations. We launched our first supplements early this year around March, and it has just been taking off ever since. Taking off faster than we can keep up with, which is arguably a good problem to have, but at the same time, we're trying to now catch up with it. Patrick, thanks for joining us today. Did I miss anything in regards to the summary?
No, you nailed it, man. Like I said, been in the business for about 20 some years, had my own store. Competed previously for about 6 or 7 years in the IFBB before retiring after getting diagnosed with degenerative disc disease. But uh, that time in the industry, though, I was fortunate enough to be sponsored by a couple of major supplement companies,
Mhm.
and that during that time, I was also running a nutrition store that wasn't mine at the time, and that process, I just knew that I wanted to have a supplement company at some point, but I also felt like I learned a lot of what I felt like they were doing wrong,
Yeah,
and what could be done better, I guess you could say. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of successful supplement companies that are doing
yeah,
something right, but I just knew
yeah.
what I would want to do differently, and I think we've had many talks about that.
It's funny. I feel like I totally connect with what you just said, and I feel like part of where I've said this to a lot of people over the years. I attribute a lot of my success to the various companies I've done, based on exactly what you just said. I've owned personal training companies, I've owned full conventional gyms, and I've owned coaching companies and the clinic, and now the supplement company. With each one of those aspects, I had prior experience as an employee, or at least an agent, or being integrated in that company, to where I looked around and analyzed everything that I saw wrong and
Yeah,
everything that I saw right. And I feel like there's a specific type of person who has an analytical personality to say, like, man, a lot of this just doesn't make sense. And if I owned this company, I would be doing a lot of things differently.
for
But
sure.
at the same time, acknowledging, wow, they were really smart to do this. And so I'm gonna sprinkle in some of their good ideas, but definitely move away from their bad ideas. And I do think that that's, I never correlated that other people might have that same story. And that might actually be a correlation to one of the things that we define good entrepreneurs. Maybe that is a factor in that, is that they had that experience embedded into other companies, and they learn from those mistakes, and then use that to help their success going forward. But
For
that's
sure.
that's that's I mean, that's a great point, and that's awesome because we definitely share that.
Oh, no, we definitely are both like type A personalities for
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, that's also why we click. Like
Yeah.
when we decide we want to do something, I feel like we're always on the same page about we want to do it to the best of its ability. This is the way it
Totally.
needs to be done,
Yeah.
which makes it easy to work together, obviously. So.
No, totally. So, tell me, when did you officially stop competing in comparison to starting All Pro Nutrition?
So, man, it's probably been 13 years ago. I don't know if that's around the 2012 era.
Sounds
Um,
about right. Yeah.
yeah, somewhere, I think that was my last show. And yeah, like I said, I was 34 years old at the time. I felt my best on stage yet. Very motivated and excited to do a following show. I had a lot of momentum going after this show. was bigger and leaner than I ever been because I competed in a 202, 212, 210, it was bouncing
Yeah.
around. I was definitely an underdog for the height because I'm 5'3".
Yeah.
So, most of the guys being, 2 to 4 inches taller than me, 10 inch or 10 pounds per inch.
Yeah.
That was the hard part. I knew I needed to grow. So I actually had a lot of momentum going. I was very motivated to take it to the next show. And literally right after my last show, I think it was like 10 weeks later, again, I was the best I ever was. Woke up one morning, couldn't put my shoes on, couldn't hardly go to the
Wow.
bathroom. And I'm like, what is going on? So, I mean, that literally it took me a week to even be able to get out of the house to go find out. I had an MRI, and that's when I was diagnosed with degenerative disc disease, my L4, L5. I don't have any disc at all. It's completely black. So my father has it. My father has five vertebrae fused. It runs, honestly, my dad's twin brother. It just runs in our family. So
Wow. Yeah.
it just kind of hit me out of nowhere. Like, I mean, everybody has those leg days that you're like, man, my back's kind of sore. But this just kind of blindsided me. Like it came out of nowhere. So yeah, like again, I competed. I was running a nutrition store and did that for several years, which led to me opening my own store, um, and was able to compete throughout the years while owning my other store until this diagnosis. So.
What was your number one motivation? Like, what was it an easy decision for you to say, I'm just going to open my own shop? Or was there something that directly happened to spark that?
Yeah, I mean, my story is pretty, yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It definitely sparked it. So, long story short, as I moved to Raleigh, I actually made custom jewelry for 12 years. I was a jeweler.
Oh, oh
I
wow.
actually
Okay.
went to school
I
to
didn't
be a
know that.
jeweler. Yeah, I went to school to be a jeweler in Carlsbad, Chicago. I did that for 12 years. I worked in Southern Pines. I mean, I bounced around, worked for several different jewelry stores, but that environment of working with chemicals, I mean, we work with cyanide, stripping agents, plating solutions, and every one of them is like bad for your health.
Sure.
And the last year I was doing it, I mean, we wear masks, we have to buff things to get that high polish after
Yeah.
we repair it or make it. The buffing compound was going under the mask, and my lungs, I was sick all the time.
Wow.
I would blow my nose, and there would be flakes of platinum, gold. So yeah, I told my wife to refine my lungs when I pass away. But yeah, that just led to me being like, man, I can't do this. I was competing at the time and getting sick all the time. And so I had a friend ask me if I wanted to run a shop down the street. I was actually shopping there currently, and they eventually wanted to expand and open another location. They had 5 locations. And I was like, man, I went to school for this, but I love bodybuilding, so I'm going to try it. And the owner of the nutrition store, I mean the jewelry store, was like, "This is your passion. Go do it. If it doesn't work out, you can come back." So I went there. I worked there for about a year. I pretty much ran the store like it was mine. The owner lived an hour away. Unfortunately, the owner got into an accident, which led to using narcotics to cover up pain, which led
Mm.
to other things. And then
Slippery
just,
slope.
yeah, financially, like about, 6 months after that, I could see things like, man, this is not good. Like this is going downhill. And I just went ahead and started setting up preparations, set up my own S corp. Just got everything ready. I knew I was going to get a call one day, and that call did come. Honestly, probably 3 months after my corporation was set up, I got a call saying, "Hey, Patrick, I have some bad news, but we're having to file bankruptcy." And at that time, I knew the business had plenty of potential, but we
Sure.
just didn't have inventory. The money was not being put back into the store.
Yeah.
With that being said, I was like, man, I want to do this. There's customers coming in. We can make this work. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was up, I think about a week later. I made him an offer for everything as it stood, take it or
Yeah.
leave it. He took it, got new signs made, and literally about a week later, that's how AllPro Nutrition started. And from there, we just, really put a lot of effort and time into the business, and
Yeah.
competing and being in magazines, that definitely helped. So I
Of
was
course.
trying to stay active in the sport. I loved it, and yeah, I mean that's how All Pro got started exactly. And
That's
we've been
awesome.
fortunate enough to be around. It's been like you said, almost 20 years now, very close to 20-year mark. So we've been very blessed.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That, you know, so a storefront supplement shop you're either going to make it or you're not. It's kind of like no in between. And so that's incredible that, you guys have made it literally over 2 decades and are still going strong, regardless of what, may be happening in life or society. The fitness has its niche markets. But with the internet and especially in the past 5 years, online sales growing, it's definitely admirable that you've been able to, keep thriving from a brick and mortar location. That being said, one of my first questions for you is, in your opinion, what are the pros and cons of having a brick and mortar storefront location?
Yeah, it's definitely not all cherries, that's for sure. Um, so yeah, over the years, we've tried to expand several times, numerous different ways. Obviously, my first couple of attempts to expand were me just training an employee up into a point where I felt like he was a manager position,
Yeah.
you know, leasing another location and planning him there to run that store. The biggest problem that I had was honestly finding good help. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a problem today, for a lot of
Totally.
people. Like when someone's there and they don't have someone hanging over them to tell them what to do, they don't really feel like they have to do very much. And when you start a brand new store, like people don't just flock in the door. Like you have to go out into the community and make those relationships and let people know you're there and what products you offer and that you offer more than just products. You offer a service.
Right.
So that's definitely the hardest. I mean, I several times stuck someone out there and they just didn't really do their job and
Yeah.
didn't have the same uh, passion that I did about getting it up and going. There's the other things are clearly as an online business grows, it's the hardest part I think day to day is trying to let people know like if they come into your location, yeah, Amazon, you can get a product and you can get it quick, but it's just a product. Like you have no service. You don't know that product may be the wrong product, first of all.
Right.
Second of all, like, do you even know how to take the product?
Right. There's no guidance.
Yeah, that as we know, like diet goes along with those products. If you're
Yeah.
trying to lose weight and you're taking a fat burner, but your diet's not complementing that, it's just, that story. It's you're not going to see the results, and then you're quick to say this product doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And so like I think a lot of people do have like some bad experiences. They bought a product, but they didn't have the guidance of how to use it, how to change their lifestyle to make the product work with them as a tool.
Yep.
Instead, they were leaning on the product to do all the work, and then
Yep.
they just say supplements don't work.
Yep.
So I think that's the hardest thing when people do come into this shop. They do realize the benefits of having that relationship and
Yep.
the guidance, but getting them through the door because everybody's so fast paced these days, they just want it fast, quick. What is the easiest way to get it? And I
Yeah.
mean, we have a website too.
Sure.
Clearly, everybody out there has an Amazon account, and we're lucky and fortunate that we have a lot of really good brands that are not on Amazon.
Right.
They're store exclusives, and yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest challenges for sure. Finding good help, loyalty, people that are going to stick around because every time you hire a new employee, we have 2,000 items in the store. So we have to train them on the items and what they do and how they're to be used before they can even sell the product,
Right.
unless the customer knows exactly what they want. And
Right.
then once you teach them, sometimes they only stick around 6 months and then they're
Yeah.
off and you start all over again. So I think the biggest challenge I have is number one, loyalty, finding good employees, but also a system to train new employees. If there
Yeah.
is turnover, what is the best way to train someone in a timely manner to where I'm not there for 3 months training them? So that today is still a challenge that I'm trying to fix.
You're preaching facts, man, and you're not alone. Honestly, I think in 2024, most businesses are encountering that challenge. And I mean, in all my various businesses, at least in recent years, I'm going through the same thing. I don't think a lot of people recognize how much time, money, and energy goes into onboarding a new hire. and
Absolutely.
training a new hire. So we are investing in someone, and like you said, it's hard to tell if that investment is going to work out on the front end. And it can take 6, even 10, 12 months to realize, was that a good investment? Is this a good employee? Are they fulfilling everything? Or is their only priority just making a buck and going home? Do they actually care about, excuse me, the success of the business? You know,
Absolutely.
because if they don't, I never expect someone to be as passionate as I am because it's my
Sure.
business,
Sure.
but they have to have some level of passion, whether that be to help people, just be the best at their job that they can possibly be. These are things that we're just not seeing in the modern day. And I think it goes across the board, restaurants, um, my clinic, my coaching team, your supplement company. We're seeing this be a struggle everywhere, is that people want to work less and get paid significantly more.
Yeah.
And it's just not really adding up. But
Sure.
to that other point you made, the guidance aspect of having that in-person, in-store communication, I think it's super important. And we do the same, we kind of utilize the same benefit with Ryze. It's like someone comes to us thinking this is what I need. But then all it
Yeah.
takes is for you to say, well, what are your symptoms or what are your goals? And it turns out you don't need that. I have
Yeah.
something way better for you to
Yeah.
actually reach what you need versus what,
Your friend told you to go get.
yeah, Bum told you that he
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I think that's of a value for you that is huge, is like you're actually saving people from wasting money, saving people from wasting time, and you actually care not about selling the most expensive pre-workout, but selling them a product that is actually going to help them reach their goals.
Yeah. That they want to come back and buy again because they like the results. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Um, I want to touch on, kind of how we connected and how PureFactor started.
Sure.
So, um, for a while now, I've been coaching for 13 years and, been involved in various functional hormone clinics for about 6 years now. Ryze has been open for 2 years. And it just came to me that, I'm constantly trying to program the highest quality products to my clients. And oftentimes, even the companies that I do trust, I feel like their products fell short, you know?
Sure.
And so then I'm piecing together these programs, and oftentimes the list of the supplements that were needed for clients was just so outrageous. And I thought to myself, number one, why isn't someone putting all these things together? You
Hmm.
know, and why isn't someone focusing on clinical dosing? Yeah, they made sure that they had that ingredient, but they had it at 5 times less than the effective dosage. So,
Sure.
like, why are we doing these tactics? And obviously, I know why. It's about
Yeah.
money. It's all these marketing tactics. If you put it all in one product, now they buy one instead of three. So I get all those things. But what was disappointing is there are people who own other companies that are also in a similar position as me, and they didn't seem to care about these things. They were okay going with the flow of what supplement companies typically do, which is kind of create this system of people always needing more, or
Sure.
needing multiple compounds, or at least needing multiple doses of a single compound so that they have to keep buying more. And
Absolutely.
that's really what got me interested in formulating my own products, because I looked around and I said, well, I already know all the ingredients and the clinical dosing. I just need it in one.
Yeah.
And so many people that I work with complain about the amount of capsules they have to take, the amount of different pills they or bottles they have to buy. So these were all things that I was just constantly listening to clients over the years, and as I got more integrated and knowledgeable about the supplement side, I was just like, there's no good reason that this hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I could potentially fill that void. And I remember, bringing it up to our mutual friend Kenneth Almond, who's also a bodybuilding and functional coach. And I told him, I said, you know what, man, as busy as I am with the clinic and coaching, I really think that there's room for a high quality supplements company to kind of fill this void for missing, or I guess you could say lacking products. And I brought up, that although I have these ideas of great formulations, I don't know where to start. I don't know who to contact and stuff like that. And he's like, well, hold the phone right there. I know exactly who you need to contact. And I think we got in contact literally like 2, 3 days later.
Yeah.
And you already had PureFactor formulations. Um, and you had a really good testosterone booster,
Yeah.
and you guys were working on a really powerful sleep product.
Yes.
Um, for a few different reasons, though, the guy you were working with, you guys just couldn't get to enough momentum to get more
Sure.
products off the ground. And I
Sure.
don't want
Yep.
to speak for you. I'm just kind of summarizing my
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what led to us talking more. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you were almost to a point of like just calling it, because you were the one putting in all the work without much in return. And when we connected, it just seemed like, oh, I can fill this void. I'm
Yeah.
everything you need. I'm your
Absolutely.
huckleberry. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, no.
Um,
I remember Kenneth coming to me and mentioning it, and I was like, dude, this is perfect timing because you're right. I was right there because I've had supplement companies in the past, and having the store, I would come out with a niche product and have
yeah,
like two or three things. But it was the same scenario. I'm running my store. I bring a friend in that says he's going to help me, and he has his responsibilities, and I have mine, and I end up doing it all. And like you said, getting half the reward, doing all the work, and
yeah.
it was hard to manage it all to the
And
point where my
spending all the
stress
money.
level. Yeah, well, yeah, my stress level is up here. It can be a financial burden if it can't be done properly. And
Right.
so, like I said, we always had some good products, but yeah, like Pure Factor, we had a couple of amazing products. They were doing really well in the store. I even had other stores that were selling the product, and to this day, still love it.
Yeah.
But wanted to grow, had the desire to grow, and had the connections to grow, but
Yep.
just like you said, I needed help. And yeah, when that was mentioned to me, I was like, man, I'm gonna reach out because this may be exactly what we need.
Yeah.
And yeah, you having your experience in that field and the knowledge of supplements, not just someone willing to help in some way, but actually step in. And both of us like understanding ingredients and formulations, it was like, wow, this is a perfect fit. So I remember I was having that conversation, and yeah, like it's been great.
And we
We
took off. I think honestly, within like a week of that first conversation, we were like hitting the ground, contacting
Sure.
attorneys, getting the LLC going. Like we didn't
Yeah.
waste any time.
No, you're exactly right. We did take off. I mean, we took off once we got the product, but we didn't anticipate how quickly it was going to take off.
Yeah.
Which leads to the next thing everybody can hear here. Uh, just, we got our product. We're excited. We thought we were going to be set for this amount of time. It took off twice as fast as what we anticipated.
Really?
Our manufacturer was actually moving locations and upgrading his facility to a much larger and nicer facility and said, hey guys, I'm going to be shut down for about 4 months. And we were like, oh, that's probably not an issue. We'll
Right.
just get going. And we ran out of 4 products in 3 months.
Yeah.
So that did kind of creep up on us. We obviously used our manufacturer that we know and trust. So we had to do research on other manufacturers, and that took time. And ultimately speaking, some manufacturers wasted our time,
Yeah.
wasted weeks, made promises that he couldn't keep. And we decided, you know what, let's reach back out to our original manufacturer, who is now getting settled in his new facility, and actually cranking out our stuff as we speak. But we just hate we had the lost time.
Yeah, this is as educated and experienced you and I were since day one. It has been a continued learning experience throughout the process, learning the ins and outs of the manufacturing side of things, the communication side of things, expectations and timelines. And we've learned to kind of adjust our expectations too. And we've also learned, preparation in the future. Um, so I mean, overall, it's been a great experience with PureFactor. We have had
Sure.
some very stressful months, but that stress only comes from us knowing that we honestly have thousands of customers who
Mhm.
want our products, who are waiting for our products. They email us every week. That's our stress. It's not so much, anything other than we want to provide the products that we know people love, and it sucks that they're having to wait. That's our
Sure.
number one stressor these days. But um one other thing I wanted to touch on is this was actually a question someone asked me recently. What do you feel like really sets us apart from all the other supplement companies? And I obviously have my thoughts, but you go
Sure.
ahead and share your thoughts first. What makes us special? What is out of the box in regards to our brand?
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, I'd say your 20 years experience in the industry and in functional health, my 20 years of experience in the industry, knowing the downfalls of products that I see day to day,
Mm,
knowing what we can do better, which again, formulations, efficacious doses, making
yeah,
sure that the amounts are the amount it takes to work in the human bodies. And like you said, we got together and our plan of attack was, look, nobody's making a product of this quality because it costs this to do. So they're trying to stay in this budget.
yep,
All the fat burners that you see at, other chain stores are going to be in this price range typically. And it's because they're just trying to compete with one another.
yep,
And I think we had the luxury of saying, look, we're not trying to sell to the cheapest people. We're trying to make the best product, and we're selling to elite level athletes and people
yep,
who are going to clinics and
yep,
functional health clinics to better themselves. So let's make it the product that we want to make, the way it's supposed to be made. And we can do that because we're not really chasing wholesale accounts. We're
right,
selling direct to consumer, and that in itself, it will build a name, and has built our name,
yep,
because of the quality of products that we build. So unique
yep.
formulations, efficacious dosing, and again, not really trying to cater to each brick and mortar store, for wholesale. So that,
Wholeheartedly agree with all those points. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think too that we understand that while there is a big population of people who get supplements who are looking for a good deal, but there's also this whole separate population who understands the value of quality and goes back to the old saying, you get what you pay for.
absolutely.
And we are catering to that community, the people who appreciate clinical dosing, highest quality ingredients, you know, that is the stuff that our clients appreciate. And then also the results. Let's not forget to mention that there's not a single product that we've made so far that people haven't written back that they've seen incredible results.
Absolutely.
And I'm not even trying to sound biased, but I can't think of a single person who was just like, nah, like
Well, no,
everyone's
and
been thrilled.
yeah, I mean, and I sell our products in my store, so like I get that feedback even every day, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, I sell all of our products in the store as well as online, and so hearing customers come back in and buy it again, and I'm like, "What'd you think?" Like
Yeah.
it's firsthand experience. I mean, they're coming back to buy it again because they loved it. So
Totally.
yeah, like that, and that helps. I mean, that helps tremendously to be able to have those conversations. When you sell something online, sometimes you don't ever get to follow up with the person, right, to really know what their feedback is. But like you said, we've been getting emails from people. When is this coming back in? I love it. It's changed my
Yeah.
life. It's helped me sleep better. It's helped my
Right.
anxiety. Like all the feedback, it's been amazing to hear, which is part of the joy that I take in this industry to begin with, and you do in your business as well, is
Totally.
the success stories, right?
Yeah.
Helping people, changing their
Yeah.
lives for the better. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
So
I
yeah.
think it's also helped us too that both of our networking, being involved in the coaching and fitness industry for so long, we connected with good quality coaches right off the bat, which helped one, it helped get our name out a little bit, but more importantly, they've also provided us really helpful feedback, what their clients say, what they think of the formulations. So we, you know, again, it's not our bias. We know our products are good, but hearing it from coaches, clients, and the customers of
Retail
your
customers.
store, we're hearing it everywhere that everyone is basically fortifying that we're doing the right thing, that we're making good choices,
Yeah,
and everyone is excited for more products to come because they just know we're going to keep that level.
absolutely. Well, speaking of it, that is our plan too. We've got some new products. Hopefully, when we
Yeah.
get this next round, launching 3 new products. So very excited about that, with a fourth one to come. So very excited about that.
And I think that you definitely have more experience in the supplement industry than I do, but we've had multiple manufacturers and other people, brokers comment to us, wow, you guys are coming out with a lot of different products for your first year in business. And
Absolutely.
I think that's another aspect that people may not necessarily catch because they're not as integrated in the supplement world.
Sure.
But we're we're not only we weren't just innovative from the start, we've continued to be innovative, and we came out with a lot of products at the start. We're already coming out with more products. I mean, I don't know of too many other companies putting out 10 to 12 products their first year.
Well, yeah, and let's say I think the biggest difference is 10 to 12 custom formulas.
Totally
That,
right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing. Like, yeah, people come out with a pre-workout and a post-workout and fat burner, and I mean they do, but not like that. Not with
Yeah.
as much thought's been put in it. Trademarked ingredients, like
Right.
everything's been so thought out. And yeah, we launched 8 to begin with, and we have another 4 coming shortly. Or so three, and then a following fourth. So I would say definitely it's not even been a year, and we have 12 products already. That again, custom formula. So that I think that makes the difference right there.
Yeah.
Like
I
you
agree.
said, every time we contact a manufacturer or the coaches in the industry that are really into looking at these ingredient panels have constantly commented, "Wow, this dosing is really impressive. This formula
Yeah.
is really impressive. Hey, this is going to be an expensive formula to make." Well, I mean, that's what we want.
That's
You know
what we
what I mean?
want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
and that brings me to another point. We've emphasized the quality of the products we make and that people value that, but we're also extremely competitive in our pricing.
for
So
sure.
although we're making these very high-end products, it's not like people compare us and say they're $20 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
We make sure that we stay competitive, even if that means we make a tiny bit less.
Yeah.
We understand that cost is important to people.
Absolutely. Well, I think that we're able to do that too because it's not our primary source of income. Like,
Totally.
and that is helpful. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, hey, we have a passion for this. We want to make quality stuff. We want to be competitive too, but
Yep.
we don't have to, we can do that. But for that reason, that helps a lot. So,
Totally. Um, Kind of going along the same idea we've been talking about. What would you say is your number one favorite product we've made so far that you've gotten to try?
hmm.
We got some coming out that might become your favorite. So
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
far, what is your favorite?
I mean, probably the one that I use the most, and I feel like it's probably everybody's favorite, is the chill factor.
Yeah,
I mean, let's
mine
be
too.
honest. Everybody's carrying daily stress, and we talk about after a long day, just how hard it is sometimes to unwind. And that
Yeah,
product does exactly what its name is. It helps to chill you out. And
yeah,
I mean, I can get to sleep, and then when I get to sleep, I have that solid sleep, and that's just
yeah,
always been very challenging for me. My head races as a small business owner. I'm always thinking about things I
totally.
have to do. So yeah, that one by far.
I agree. And I think the cool thing about that, and some people may not know this, but the serving size is 3 capsules, which allows people to potentially microdose in different
hmm
settings.
hmm
It's a powerful product. It packs a punch. So taking a full serving, you may get too relaxed to be productive through your day. And
Yeah.
so I have a lot of people who take 1 capsule in the morning or 1 capsule midday, kind of just a microdose, just
hmm
to help with their mood and help with
Absolutely.
their body's stress response, but not it's not like taking, a bunch of Benadryl or something to where you're
Sure.
knocked out and incapable of functioning that day.
Oh, dude, I've used it. I've recently had shoulder surgeries
Yeah.
and was not able to train for extended period of time. So in between those surgeries, when I was waiting for surgery, I was just bored. So like I
Yeah.
started playing pool again. But I was
Oh,
playing in
cool.
pool tournaments. In the pool tournaments, I would get a little, the further I got, the more anxious I would get.
Yeah.
I remember like having a couple in my pocket and using it there and then, and it relaxed me just enough you know, to calm my nerves. It
Yeah.
was perfect. So yeah, I've used it in multiple settings, kind of like you said too. I know when I get kind of anxious,
Yeah.
throughout the day, and microdosing it works out great. I've got several clients that don't even have to use a full dose either. So there's those days they do and days they don't. So
Totally. No, yeah. And I mean, I kind of treat it the same way. I typically am deciding between 2 or 3 capsules towards the end of the day, just depending on how hard of a day I've had. But yeah, no, I would agree. I would say across the board, that one's just a fan favorite because, like you said, stress is hitting everyone so hard these days. Just to bring up another supplement that might sound crazy to people. When we first launched, one of the supplements that got the biggest raving reviews was our glutamine. And,
hmm
it's funny because you think
yeah,
of that as just a simple, cheap powdered product, but ours was just so high quality, so fine. It
yes,
absorbed instantly in water without even needing like a stir or a shake. Like it was just so high quality, and people noticed their gut health improving pretty much immediately upon starting that. So
absolutely.
I
Yeah, we
that's
definitely
not
didn't
one people think
anticipate.
about. Mhm.
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't anticipate that one being one of the first ones to sell out, and it was.
And it was, yeah, yeah,
And but we also again didn't just come out with a standard glutamine, by adding the estrogen for absorption, kind of set us apart to
yep,
just taking that extra step, like, hey, it's mesh 200 micronized. It's like baby powder, but then
yeah,
we're going to make it even better by adding this ingredient to help it absorb. And like you said, yeah, it surprised me too. But also detox. I have to say, like
yeah,
I love. I mean, a good liver product. I mean, everybody needs it. I take it every day.
yep.
But the amount of people in the store, and I have to say this, that have came back in and said, "Does this give you more energy?" Like it's been like I've had so many people say that, like indirectly, and I never really thought about it, but I'm like, well, if you're sluggish because you can't detox, yeah, you probably are feeling a lot better. But
Totally.
I've had that statement made probably at least 15 times from that product. I've sell
That's
a lot of
very
liver
interesting.
supplements. I've never had anybody say that about a liver supplement. They usually don't even realize they're on the liver supplement, and they
Yeah,
never comment.
yeah.
But I've heard that numerous times. So I think it just
That's
goes
super
back to
cool.
to the to the to the blend.
I kind of wanted to touch a little bit deeper about our formulations and the thought process that goes into the combinations and dosing that we've done. And we've kind of already talked about this, but for me, like I said, my thought process with formulations came from my experience in the trenches of programming products to clients as a coach. And especially in functional health, when we're diving into gut protocols, toxic burden like mold or Lyme disease or stuff like that, these are very, very vigorous protocols that take 3 to 6 months to complete. And we're talking hundreds of dollars of supplements every month.
Sure.
And so we would typically get 2 comments pretty much immediately after sending it to people. And I always am transparent. So when I would do calls ahead of time, I prepare people. This is going to
Sure.
be the most vigorous supplement protocol you've ever done. And
Yeah.
they'd say, okay, I understand. But then they get that sheet and they're like, holy
Yeah,
shit. This
absolutely.
is a lot of pills per day. This is a lot of bottles to buy. And there was that constant feedback that just made me think, we can do this better. Why can't
Sure.
we take these 3 things and put it in one? They
Yeah.
all work synergistically together. And why do we have to do it at such a low dose that they have to take it 3 times a day?
Yeah.
So, and then like you said, estrogen, game changer. Why can't we take something? Why can't we add an ingredient to every product to enhance absorption? And I don't
Yeah.
really think that's been done too often before. I know there's a few other great quality brands that do that, but it's not a common thought process in formulations of like highest quality ingredients, clinical dosing, and adding in an extra item to enhance the absorption.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, there's a couple of good brands that do that, but it's not common because, they're always looking to where can I cut the cost? And,
Right.
if it's not because it's a lesser dosing, but oh, there's a lot of ingredients in here. How many customers fall for, oh, look at all the stuff in here, but they're not looking at the dosing in it. I mean, I have to point that out constantly. And my crowd's a little different now. We've been in business 20 years and they're used to shopping with me. So we've taught them over the years. So now they come in and they're label reading and they're actually pointing out, wow, look at the dosing in this. So I have
Yeah.
a completely different crowd, but that's our job and that's how we sell. And they've
Yeah.
learned from that and they shop that way now too. So
Yeah. Well, and I think we need to touch on this aspect, and this isn't trashing other companies because business is business and you have to make money. But I do think that sometimes they intentionally limit what's in a product so that you have to buy 2 products instead of one.
of course,
And that's okay. That's in some forms that's an intelligent business practice, but our goal wasn't maximizing profits, like we've said several
sure.
times, and we proved that in our actions. There's probably people who would
Absolutely.
audit us and say, "You guys are idiots. Like you shouldn't have
Oh
done it
yeah.
that way." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, of course, for sure. No, I've even had formulators kind of say that. Like, man, you could do 2 products here, make this cheaper, and then have another sale. But again, I come from the same background you do, and as far as coaching. So with the coaching and writing the plans, one of the biggest kickbacks I got from everybody is right off the bat, they just hired you as a coach, and then
Yep.
you just told them to go buy $300 or $400 worth of supplements.
Yeah.
And you can tell like right off the bat, they're already wondering like, am I going to be able to do this? And
Totally.
it's an expensive sport all the way around. You hadn't even
Yep.
factored in food yet.
Yep.
So
Well,
no, I
even for me, when I was actively an athlete, and this is a long time ago, but before I was educated and when I was just kind of following a coach's guidance, I was not a fan of spending all that money and swallowing 20 pills a day. And I would
sure.
always be like, do I really need all these things? And coaching was so different back then. They weren't explaining to me the benefits. They just
Yeah,
wrote a plan.
that's
So
right.
it kind of came into my own uneducated mind of deciding, is this worth it to me? And that's where we see a lot of these people who, if they don't feel it, it's not working.
Yeah,
And back then, I was just so inexperienced and uneducated that that's kind of how I would treat things. If I'm
sure.
not feeling effectiveness from this, why am I keep buying this?
I know. Well, why do you think the pre-workout industry blew up?
Oh,
Like
for
literally, I
sure.
remember it like yesterday. Inno Explode comes out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, and you take it and you're like, woo! And
Oh
you're
yeah.
like, at the end of the day, you want to go crush your workout. And then all of a sudden that just changed the whole industry
Yeah,
because you feel it the first time you take it, right? Like, I mean, not that that's what we want to feel every time, but there are a group of people that do want to feel that. So, but you're exactly right. That's the hard part about selling a lot of products in the store is explaining to them what they should expect,
yeah.
which is again, providing that service so they know the subtle things that you'll notice, right?
Yep.
Like you know, not like a pre-workout, not like a fat burner where you're going to be shaking or
Right.
sweating.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What would you say? And we can kind of answer this separately, but what do you envision for PureFactor formulations in the next year or two? Like what are your specific thoughts and goals for or aspirations for us going forward?
Like product wise or just in general?
In general.
Yeah. Honestly, to stay on the path we're on, but to be a little bit better at broadcast or forecasting, keeping stuff in stock. I think we've
Yeah.
we've taken those steps for expanded storage.
Yeah.
We've taken those, that storage being, properly cooled. I mean, we're doing everything, right? Like I feel like we've learned a lot, but we're also like prepared for that next step.
We are. Yeah.
My biggest thing is really just trying to constantly forecast. We're selling X amount of these a month. We probably need to start looking at an order when we get to this number. And since different products sell differently, it's going to take a little tweaking, but also as we gain more momentum, it's always going to change.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hardest thing. I think it's the hardest thing for everybody, but as we've learned, it's not just that. We might be on time, but when you go to your manufacturer, how backed up are you? Oh,
Right.
well, we're running 8 weeks out. And so
Right.
that's 8 weeks before they can get you in the line. Well, in the meantime, you've got to source all the materials and the
Yeah.
labels. So I honestly like just getting better at that to make us where customers aren't out of product. They can
Right.
continue to get the products they want and love without waiting because, I don't like to do that either.
Yep.
Uh, but also just continue the innovation that we've been doing. Like
Yep.
I feel like the sky's the limit. I know that we've already talked about ideas of other formulas that we would like to do, and I know we're
Yeah.
anxious to do those. So I honestly like just to continue what we're doing, but you know, maybe we get to a point where we go wholesale and get our products on shelves. I don't think that's something that neither one of us have been like really like we need to do this.
Right.
I think it gives us exposure, but I don't really feel like it's a make or break for us. But I do think that would be cool to get it in shelves and make it a little more convenient where people can walk in their local supplement store
Yeah.
and pick our products up. And that way, if the website's sold out, there's other options available where they can pick it up. So,
Totally.
maybe that down the road when we get to the place we need to be, that is something that would be cool to see. But
Yeah. No, I,
I'm
I
also
agree with those things. I mean, the main thing that we learned pretty quickly, well, it took time. We learned that we needed to analyze trends quickly. And then it took us time to be able to analyze those trends. We needed at least 3 to 6 months of data to really get an idea of how certain things sell. Now
Mhm.
we have that data for the most part. Granted, we have a couple new products coming. We'll need time to collect that data. But yeah, I mean, obviously, everything you said, we learned that with our very first run, we were being somewhat conservative because we just didn't know how the response was going to be. We knew that we had really good support and really good products, but you just never know till you do it. And now that we see the response and see the demand, we go in to future purchases much more confident, bigger orders, we're willing to invest more into it with much lower risk. So I think, like you said, planning ahead, staying in better communication with our manufacturers, analyzing trends, purchasing more upfront to keep it in stock better. All of those things will likely lead to us being able to have, wholesale in-store accounts, because right now we're selling so fast we couldn't even supply a store if we wanted to.
Yeah,
So that's kind of a balancing act first of like, okay, we need to get our stock supplies up majorly, and then we can potentially get into stores and reach more people. That's the other benefit too of online is great, but we're probably not reaching people in like Milwaukee or Texas or stuff like that.
sure.
Whereas if we were in tons of different stores around the nation, we'd reach a good amount of more people and thus help more people with our high quality supplements. So no, I agree with those goals. Just obviously we've already talked about a couple new formulas that we're going to do in the future. Those are exciting, but the main things that
For
we
sure.
need to do in the immediate future is just getting our bearings for keeping our stock loads up, and keeping a good system of refills with our manufacturer.
Absolutely. Well, and I think we've also like after our first run, we got to give ourselves a little bit of grace here too. After our very first run, which people loved, me and you immediately went back to the drawing board and said, we can do this better. We
We
can
did.
make this one better.
We
And
did.
so that led to literally having to create all new labels again for those products that we changed. And each time you do that, that's a whole process. And then if you add a trademarked ingredient, you got to go reach out to the company, do the appropriate paperwork to source that trademarked ingredient. So that, again, that we want it the way we want it, and we want it right now. But then we
Yeah.
realize, wow, this takes a little longer to do it than we anticipated. But
Yeah.
when these come back in, they're going to have the new labels. They're going to have the
Yeah.
improved products, ingredients in it. I don't think me and you will ever stop thinking, just because our personalities,
How
how
can we
how
be
can we make
better?
how can we be better? How can we make these better? Especially,
Yeah.
getting feedback or, oh, this new ingredient came out, which could
Yeah.
actually serve a purpose better than this ingredient. So
Yeah.
I don't think that we'll stop doing that. So that's not a problem. But yeah, that it was a learning process. Just we want it to be right, and we want it done right away. But there's a lot of things involved, and one change is like a whole host of changes, and those changes
You're
took
so
time.
right. Yeah, no, you're so right. And I think it's important that you brought that up, because I think that just reemphasizes how much we care, because we put out great products that sold out within 2 months. We didn't need to tweak those. We could have
Yeah.
been totally happy with those, but we decided, let's make them pack a bigger punch. Let's add in even more factors that can help people, and it cost us more. How many companies say, how can we make this more expensive to
Yeah.
us, even
Yeah.
though people already like it? Most companies would say, don't do that. They already like it. Keep giving it
Yeah.
to them. But we were
Absolutely.
like, no, we want to make the absolute best product possible, and keep that standard. And so again, I just think that reiterates, it just shows how much we truly care about making the best possible products.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
again, I think it is a very competitive industry, and we both know like we're passionate about it, but if you want to stand out in the industry, period, like you got to separate yourself, and
Yep.
that's one of the main ways that we're doing that. So,
Yep. Well, awesome, man. I don't have any other questions for you. Do you have any thoughts that you want to leave us with today?
no, I just want to thank everybody that's been a part of Pure Factor success so far. All of our ambassadors and our
Yeah,
athletes and our coaches that are supporting us, because we wouldn't be able to take off like this if it wasn't for their support, without a doubt. So, I mean, we're just,
totally.
I think, both very humbled and blessed that we're getting the support, we're getting the positive feedback, and they continue to push. If anything, like, hey, please let me know when we can get this back in stock. So, I mean, again, a great place to be in, but we
Yep.
want to fix that and have it for you. And I just
Yep.
want to say thank you to everybody that's been a part of that and help support Pure Factor. Looking forward to the future and where we're going to go. And I also want to thank you for trusting in me to be your partner in this. So it's been
Likewise, my man.
been a fun ride so far, but
Yeah,
it's going to get easier and even
it
more
will.
fun as we go. So
Absolutely. Real quick, Patrick, tell people where they can reach out to you if they wanna contact you online. How do they reach you? And if they want to come into your store, if they're in the Raleigh area, where is your store located?
gotcha. Yeah, so in Raleigh, AllPro Nutrition is located at 5910 Suite 135 Durley Road. And we are off of Glenwood Avenue and Blue Ridge Road, is where Durley is. And the store phone number is 919-781-1636. My store email is allpronutrition1@gmail.com. And if you want to have any questions about PureFactor, me and Matt both have emails for PureFactor. If any questions regarding PureFactor, my email is patrick@purefactorformulations.com. And then Matt's is matt@purefactorformulations.com. So don't hesitate to reach out if you guys have any questions about how to best use our supplements or any stacking any supplements or anything we can do to help with that. Reach out at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys can't make it to the Raleigh area, All Pro has a full website where you can get all of their products online as well. So check it
Oh
out
yeah.
if you haven't already. And if you do have any questions while you're looking on the website, you can always contact Patrick via email or phone, and he'll be happy to guide you through your online purchase as well.
Yeah, and the
Um,
website I forgot to mention, allpronutritioninc.com. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Hey, man, thanks for taking the time to come on today. It was a great chat with you,
My
and I
pleasure.
look forward to us chatting again soon.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you. Thanks for
All
having
right,
me on.
man.